Get rid of your violin death grip with these 5 exercises. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I'm Suzuki trained. If you're enjoying my videos, please just take a quick second to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. It's easy, it's free, and it really helps me out. And if you're interested in working with me, you can check the description for a private lesson application, as well as an application for Learn Violin Online, which is my comprehensive learning program that is fit for players of all ages and ability levels. So if you feel like you have a death grip on the violin, if you feel like you are squeezing way too much with your left hand and maybe even incurring some pain from that, then this is definitely the video for you. So first, in order to release our violin death grip, it's important to understand just how much you actually need to press in order to get a solid sound. So exercise 1 is going to be aimed at that. So for this exercise, you are going to start with harmonic pressure. And by harmonic pressure, I just mean you are not pressing or pushing down into the string at all. You are just lightly laying your finger on top of the string. It should sound something like this. As you can tell, it's a very ghosty sound. It's not a solid sound. That is harmonic pressure, and again, I am not pressing my finger into the string at all. So for the exercise, you start with your harmonic pressure, and then you just gradually add a bit of pressure into your finger until you hear a solid sound. And when you hear the solid sound, you stop. So right about there is my solid sound. Now it's probably a little bit hard to tell, but I'm actually not even pressing the string all the way down into the fingerboard. There is still a bit of space between the string and the fingerboard, and I am still hearing a solid sound. For me, I would say that's probably about 60 to 70% of my max pressure that I can put onto the string without getting that death grip. In other words, without pressing too hard or squeezing too hard. When you try this exercise, it's likely that you'll find that you do not have to press the string down as hard as you think in order to get a solid sound. Actually, I'm willing to bet if you try this exercise, you are going to be amazed with just how little you have to press in order to hear that solid sound. So now that you know the appropriate amount of finger pressure you need to put into the string, let's make sure that you are not squeezing too hard with your left thumb. So for exercise number 2, you are going to wiggle your thumb between every note or between every few measures or between every phrase. Now the amount you wiggle it really is up to you, and I would say it's based on, how much pressure you think you are usually applying, right? So how bad your death grip really is. If you feel like you have a super bad death grip and you're just squeezing your hand all the time, then you might want to stop between every note. If you feel like, my hand senses up sometimes, then you might want to stop between every couple measures or every phrase. So the exercise might look something like this. So as you could tell, I stopped between every note and wiggled my thumb up and down. When your thumb is mobile, when your thumb is moving, it's virtually impossible to squeeze. Exercise number 3 is similar to the previous exercise, but it takes it up a notch. So for this exercise, you are going to play entirely with your thumb off of the instrument. Now, obviously, this is not how you are going to eventually play. This is not a good violin technique. It's just an exercise. The thought process or the premise behind this is that if your thumb isn't on the instrument, it can't be squeezing, right? Now, one caveat with this is because you have taken your thumb away, you've taken a little bit of support away, you might feel like you are having to compensate a little bit with your neck and maybe even your shoulder. So you might feel a little bit of added pressure there. And remember, this is just an exercise. You should do it for maybe 5 to 10 minutes maximum, because obviously you don't want to strain your neck or your shoulders. And again, you're not going to play like this. But that exercise might look something like this. So it definitely feels strange at first. But when you put your thumb back on the instrument after having done this exercise, try to mimic that feeling. Exercise number 4 is going to give you more support, so you feel like you don't have to squeeze. You know, but some of our tension issues come from this subconscious or innate fear that we are going to drop the instrument, which, by the way, is highly unlikely. But for this exercise, you are going to put your scroll against a wall. That way, your violin is fully supported between, obviously, your neck and the wall. So you will feel more supported and will squeeze less. So this is a bookshelf, but it's the same idea. So you put your scroll against the wall, you press in to the wall, and your violin is fully supported, freeing up your left hand. If you're worried about damaging your instrument, you can put a little cloth in between your instrument and the wall. That exercise is also really great for vibrato because, again, it gives you a little bit more support, it stops your violin from shaking, and it frees up your left hand. And the 5th exercise to release your violin death grip is just playing everything with harmonic pressure. So the goal of this exercise is not to sound good. It's just to release the pressure in your left hand. It might sound something like this. So as you could hear, I was not getting a solid sound on any note. I was hearing some harmonics, some fuzzy sound, which is what we want. So when you are using harmonic pressure, you cannot press your hand at all or your fingers at all into the string, otherwise that would create too solid of a sound. So if you're trying this exercise and you're not really hearing those harmonics or you're hearing your notes too clearly, that's a sign that you need to loosen up your hand even more. So there you have it. Those are 5 exercises for releasing tension in your left hand, aka releasing your violin death grip. Now this is super important because you could easily develop tendonitis or carpal tunnel if you have too much tension in your hand. Favorite exercise for releasing left hand tension?